tonight and tonight to our school, and thank you very much for coming along to speak to us.
Okay, it's good. Sorry, I've got part one because there's so much to share. I don't know if we'll do another session here. I might do some more sessions later because I might run out of time with the hour, and you can only absorb so much. Don't know probably me, but you might. Or I might do it somewhere else. But I thought if you do want to hear something again, I could take your name or phone number, let you know, kind of thing. But yeah, I started working on resilience over the last year. I went to do a thesis on it, and then I started working around the schools down in Penrith, and just working with the kids and looking at it. But resilience, I didn't know if you knew what it was, but it's the ability to work through life difficulties and adversity. And sometimes people up here, they'd say to me, well, our kids don't need this. But all children need resilience. I mean, all children go through difficulties. You don't have to be in a lower income area. It's not really to do with income, it's all to do with what's happening in their life. And there's a lot of things that children have to face now than they have to face before. So adversity that comes, working through life difficulties. And people think that children are born with resilience, but they're not. I know they say, oh, this person's really strong, must be a strong person, that's why they went through. It's not really like that. There's something that can change. But children can be born with things like these protective factors and risk factors. The protective factors are all the good things in their life. And the risk factors are all the things that come against them. It might be losses or sickness or a death might happen in the family, different things that happen, divorce, just different things happen in life, and kids have to face these things. And so those things come along, and it's like scales. So on one hand you have protective factors, and if there's too many risk factors, it tips it. If you have enough protective factors, it will keep it. The child will stay, they'll be alright. Some of the protective factors are if the child's got like good intelligence, but say they're not really good at problem solving, that's really hard. So people put them in problem solving courses, and it builds the child up, so they feel they can cope with life then. And sometimes if they have natural talents and gifts, if they're given opportunities, that will lift them out of that risk. The protective thing will just, it'll keep them. So there's always hope for all children. Yeah, so often it's a three thing. It's what they're born with, what's happening in their family relationships. If they're really close, that helps. If it's not close, like if there's violence, like some places I went to, there's kids living in homes with violence. If they have one person that really loves them, like if there's one parent that's violent, but the other parent's not, and they're really loving them, they'll make it. Or if they have an adult that's outside that family who really loves them, they'll make it too. Even if it's a youth leader or teacher or just somebody. They need an adult, and they know that they love them, and that keeps them right through any difficulties they're having in their homes. Yeah, so that's that. Tipping can tick. Tick away. We need to give them one of the okay, so some of the protective factors are close parents, also good school. Like a good school is a protective factor, an effective school, and opportunities, having a faith. If they have faith in their life, that helps them, that protects them. And like I said before, intelligence, talents, gifts. But one of the main ones is self-efficacy, and that, when I was doing my thesis thing, one of the professors there was saying this is central to all resilience, is this thing, believing that you can do something, believing that you can go through something. It's this confidence. It's really important. Kids are low on that quite often. And that's the thing we have to build up, self-efficacy. It's believing you can do something. And actually, it even starts from birth, that you start building up that confidence as a baby. Like, they believe if they cry, mummy's going to come. And so they build up this confidence, I can change my world, I can do things. Say mummy never comes, say it's a neglected home or something like that. The baby can become depressed and it learns the world's not a great place and no one's going to come, and it loses its confidence. There's that too. But I don't want to put guilt trips on mothers or anything. It's not like that. It's just children learn from when they're born that they can change their world, and it brings this confidence in them. I was going to say it's the perception that one can achieve desired goals through their actions. And I've got this little, I'm just trying to describe self-efficacy. So it's like this. Do you remember the story of the little red engine? The little train? So he comes to here, and he gets to the bottom of the hill, and then he goes, I think I can, doesn't he? Sort of that way. Well, a child with low self-efficacy, they'll come to the hill. It could be a task, or a skill, or a problem. Bad, right here. Problem, and like this. I had to lean over this. Yeah. Anyway, they come to it, they come to the bottom of the hill, and they go, I can't do it. And it could even be something that they can do. Say they're really good at writing or maths, and they'll come to it and they'll go, I can't do it. You go, why? You know you can do it. It's because they believe they can't. There's something in them, there's a lack of confidence that hasn't been built up. And so they come here and they go, I can't. And I was talking to some kids down in a year 7 class, with another class with all these boys. And I said, do you know the Little Red Engine story? And they go, no. So I told them, I go, well, a little red engine comes this hill and he has to go over the hill. So I said, what does he do? And they go, well, he tries and he keeps sliding back and he turns around and he gives up and he rides away. And I went, no, that's not the story. But that's where those boys were at. That's how they felt about life. And it can be an attitude to life, tasks, skills, academic things, subjects in school. And for some reason, it's there, they're not doing it. The kid who's got high self-efficacy will go, I can take this. And he might go up and he might find it difficult and he'll just go, I think I can, of course. And he'll keep going. And he'll go up. And also a kid with high self-efficacy, he will, if he slides down, he'll go, it doesn't matter, I'll keep going. If he fails, he'll go, it doesn't matter, I'll keep going. So that's why we need to build that self-efficacy in children. And it can be like that with, see those mountain things, they can be like problems in life. They might come to a problem. Like there's a lot of youth that get very discouraged and they give up. And they come to problems and they go, I can't do it. But if they learn young that they can do it, that they can overcome problems that come their way, that confidence will be there when they get older. It'll just build. So, excellent, Rachel. Keep going. It's evolving in like public school years. These years it's developing all the time. And next one, please. And this is the protective factor parenting style. And this is the most effective they've done from research. And that's authoritarian is the kind of you do what you're told, no questions asked. That's one. This one, child sets own schedules is a nightmare. That's linked to delinquency. It's nothing to do with socio-economic thing, it's just not being too permissive. Lack of discipline, supervision, probably don't monitor their children much either. The child sets its own schedules. So that's pretty scary stuff. Like I was with a mother once and it was late at night and it was like 11 o'clock at night and she's saying to a little 2-year-old, do you want to go to bed yet? I said, no. She said, okay, we'll wait a bit longer. I go, I don't think I can stay up very longer with this kid. And she said, it will be hard. I thought, no, you don't have to be hard, but you need to set boundaries. Children need boundaries. So this is the most effective style, it's called authoritative. From research, they found it's the best direct child activities, frequent decision-making exchanges, like you talk about it, open communication, reasoned discussion, telling them what you want. Okay, you can be home by 10 o'clock tonight. Okay, little kid, you have to go to bed now, kind of thing. You have to do what I say. These are our things. And firm, consistent enforcement of family rules and standards. It's okay to do that. Don't be scared of your child. They need that. It's firmness, it's not hardness.
They actually like boundaries.
Yeah, they do.
Really?
It makes them feel secure.
They do actually
Feels
like
safe and
it.
secure. They like to know there's a boundary line.
When does that change?
Yes.
You build it too much already. At the same time, because you've got this open communication, you can explain things. So you can build a friendship when they're young. You need to build a friendship.
Yes,
It can't be just this Hitler thing. Just rigid, many rules, rules, and they make so many rules. And I've heard parents do that too, so much. It's too much. Like
Yeah.
fun or something.
Yeah.
Next one, Ray. Okay, monitoring the amount and quality is a strong predictor of antisocial behaviour during late childhood and adolescence. Unfortunately, I've also noticed children of professionals do go off the rails, even up here. And then parents, once they're 14, parents don't want to know. So they're out, they still need monitoring when they're 13, 14. Like, keep it on. Don't be scared to monitor them. And it's particularly important from age 9 to mid-adolescence. That's when they're getting influenced, because their brain's changing.
Yeah.
When they're 12, 13, it starts cutting, starts pruning and stuff there, and getting ready for new growth. And then the new growth goes between 13 and 18, all this new branching out comes in their brain, and they're developing all this new stuff, and they're learning everything about social activities. So they really need to learn it off you. You have to set the boundaries that they will follow their friends, but you've got to pull them back. That's when they can go crazy.
And that's when you pull the instinct.
Yeah. Okay, carry on. Yeah. Children are like plants, they need to be fed with good food, and I mean like emotionally in their minds. What they're feeding off TV, be really careful what you're feeding them. Strong, healthy, resilient plants. And monitor what's going on in their TV programs and internet. There's an awful lot of bad things that can actually feed fear into them. I don't know if you've noticed in the news. An awful lot of murder and horror. And it's too much. They're too young to get that stuff. But it's there. It's always there. It's even there when I don't want to see it. It's just there in front of their face. And it's going to make them afraid of the future. And that will make children with anxiety. A lot of anxious children. You've got to teach and train children. Like some people think you just have a child and they grow. Like just grow around you. But we need to train them. Now, so they have no direction in their lives. The more you train them and teach them, like don't be afraid to teach them from your life. What you did when you were a kid, how you faced life, what you went through. They want to know. They'll absorb it. They just want to absorb it, and they'll grow up strong, resilient. If you train them and prune them, means cutting back. Like, okay, you can't do this. Okay, this is what you do. Kind of thing. Next one, right? And this was one of the protective factors which I was interested in. It was funny, when I looked in the research, it was a close relationship to the parent. Not just a relationship, but close. And if you build a close relationship with your child, it actually protects them. It takes time. It's not just a matter of having a kid and just living your life. It's time, all relationships take time. So it's really interesting that 900 genes switch on. They switch on or off according to the amount of maternal behaviour of her attention. Sorry, it should be attention. So the more attention the mother's giving the baby and spending time with the baby, the more chemicals which start to stress are being released in that baby's physiology. That's amazing. That's like new research. I thought that's fantastic. That's what they're doing. Levels of neural growth plasticity, because our brains can change even when we're older. Our brains keep changing. We can keep learning new things. And children are at that natural plasticity. So levels, if there's more maternal attention, it'll bring more neural growth plasticity. But I mean, I don't want you to condemn yourself to say if your child has a disorder, there's nothing you can do. It's not your fault. But of course, the more maternal attention is still better. It's still better than if they didn't have it. It still helps them if they do have this disorder. Unfortunately, Rex studies, because they have to cut their brains open. Can't do that with children.
No.
Those who have more maternal attention have brains that are more robust, resilient, and nurturing of others. So a mother affects a child in those three ways of the child becomes more robust and resilient. And also that child, when it grows up, it becomes a better parent. So the teaching you give your child is how they're going to be with their parents, because they found, I think you probably did it, they did monkey studies, rhesus monkeys, and the monkeys that were mistreated when they grew up, they were not very good mothers, completely depressed and abusive to their little monkeys. Little monkey. And and so they're less reactive to stress, and that's able to use abilities to learn across more difficult situations, and down-regulate cortisol. When we're stressed, we release cortisol in our body, and it's really hard to come down. Children learn to regulate their emotions and their upsetness from the mum, from the mother, just giving that to them. Some children aren't getting that, but that's why when you calm a baby down, it's actually preparing them for the future when they face hard things in life. They'll be calm because their mum calmed them down when they were little. That's the thing that starts like that. It's interesting. But if they've had like a home where they didn't get that, they're pretty scared and stressed. When they're older, they can't take much stress. Easily volatile, off the handle. Or if they're violent parents, they're very stressed. So and touch and affection. So this is for this closeness. This builds this resilience. Because the brain. And then the more grooming and looking that the rat did to its little rats, little rats, and then there's research showing affection and kindness to our children builds more resilient brains. Not asking for perfection, it's just, caring. And the low levels of caring maternal behaviour in humans correlate with more fearful behaviour and high levels of stress, and that's what I'm saying anyway. Okay, go to this one. I want to read this all the time. It's just that it was interesting. Yeah, don't worry about it. So when you spend time with your child, you validate them, you make them feel like they mean something in this world, and they need that. Don't ever underestimate the importance of a mother in her child's life. There's research called the power of other. The power of knowing there's someone else in your life is a very strong force in a child. If they feel isolated and no one's there for them, it affects them with facing life. They're more anxious, they don't feel strong about themselves, so this really works. And they need to know that you get them. I heard this little, was a Japanese girl singing it? You get me?
Yeah.
Your love makes me feel like you get. They need to know that someone actually understands them. Then they need to know that their problems are being listened to and taken on board. Sorry. Yeah. Your presence, your attention. Don't say, if you can have time at least once a week alone with one of your children. Depends how many children. I have 4 children, but it's just you just take it as it comes. Like sometimes I'd just be sitting on my bed sewing, and the kids would all be sitting around me, and we'd be talking and playing music, and just sing. I was a bit of a Julie Andrews. Yes, singing. And sometimes I'd just come home after a long day and be sitting down watching TV, and my daughter would sit on my knee, and we'd watch TV together at the beach. It was nice. It's the one-on-one thing, and it builds a strong connection. And they need to get your attention when you're not doing all those other things.
It's kind of like just relaxing, isn't it? Just relaxing them and just being...
It's hard when you're under pressure, kind of like.
Yeah.
I know. It's hard. Interaction, playing games, singing or talking, watching movies together, swimming. Okay, so this is building this friendship.
Yeah.
This is a risk factors. These are high risk environment conditions, so it's right across the board. Doesn't matter which. I mean, actually, even mothers that just stay at home if they don't spend time with their children, it's the same thing. It's not with which job you have, it's not with your part-time, full-time, or whatever. But you've got to make time for these. So that's 2006. There's been a lot of research. Family rules, it's still important. And focusing on children and children, that's hard. People get caught up. This one's a big one, apparently.
Yeah.
Very prone to delinquency if they don't get that monitoring, sorry. Okay, next one. And this is the sources of self-efficacy, this whole thing of how to build up that confidence. And there's the 3-4 things. So mastery experience. And I mean, it's on the slide, but I'll just talk it now. Mastery experience is a very important one for boys. They build up their confidence through mastering. So we've got to let our boys master. We've got to let them take on new activities, not hold them back from doing things, learning new things, taking on skills. Even if we think, oh, they shouldn't play football, but if he wants to, let him master. Don't stop your children from wanting, like if they want to master something, unless it's like, I don't know, playing swords, something really scary. They need to master. That's what builds up boys' confidence especially, but also it's powerful for girls too, but that's the main one for boys. And so it's the same thing. If they master things, so what happens is that what they've found with research is if that child comes there, little red engine again, and they go, okay, I think I can, and they push themselves to get up. And so and then they get up to the top and they go, I knew I could. What do you think? Why do you think they thought that? Why did they say that? I knew I could. Yeah. So when they master that one, and they come down the other side, God, this writing's and everything. They come around the other side and they go, I knew I could. What's happened to them? Yeah, they've got confidence. It's actually built their confidence, and this is how boys work. It's with everything. Like it might be, they start off with something like, I can play marbles, I can do this now, and they go from one thing to the next, and it builds.
Because they can't let them do everything they want to do. I mean, when you talk about football, my son wants to play football. He's not playing football. So, you know, you stop me right in
Oh, too many things. He's doing too many
He can't do everything.
No, not everything. But don't be afraid to let them have risk. Like to.
Yeah.
So with that, Andrew, does that come with failure as well? Because if a child has to master something,
yes,
they
good for
also
them.
have to handle that maybe they can't climb that hill the first time. They may
Yeah, that's good. And this is a learning.
I can't do that for him. He has to, or
No, don't be afraid of your children failing. It's good for them to fail because that is a learning. That is a learning experience. And don't expect your children to be perfect. They don't have to succeed straight away. Because they're developing. And how will they learn if they don't fail a little bit? Because everything takes practice. And if they do everything perfectly straight away, why would they practice? Like piano, when Rachel learned piano, she didn't like piano much. And she wasn't doing very well, but then a friend came over and said, but if you practice a lot, you'll get really good. And you go, oh. So then she went to practice. Next time she went to learn piano, she really loved it. They have to learn that they have to push themselves. And they have to learn that they can fail. And it's not a fall. A fall is not a fail. Actually, they're not failing, they're just falling. Say they do something and they fall. It doesn't matter. You say, well, see, this is where you teach them. You go, no, that's good. That's not a fail. It's just a fall. Now you pick yourself up and now you go on. It's okay to fail. Let them fail. Fall.
But if they want to give up straight away, how do you promote them to keep trying?
Is it something they wanted to do?
Some half, really. Maybe something that I would know would be good for them. But if they just give it a go.
Yeah, you say, I want you to keep trying. Just keep trying. You keep encouraging them on it.
But if they're adamant, then you just...
Is it adamant, is it? I mean,
You could always say, just try it for a few more weeks.
yeah.
See how you go, and then see what happens after a few more weeks or months or something.
Yeah, don't let them give up straight away.
So give them maybe like a time frame or something. And then it's
Yeah.
like, oh, okay. It doesn't
But
matter
if
if I
you can
don't.
see them enjoying it, but then they're protesting too much. Like to say with my daughter, she loved tap, but she would say, I don't want to do it. And I could see her really enjoying it, but then she refused just to go back to the next class. And the next class.
How many classes did she go to?
I made her see out the term
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
because I'm like, you start something you finish
Yeah,
it.
Yeah, yeah.
But then she keeps asking about going back, but I didn't book her in for the second term.
Oh, she's asking about going back now.
Or she says, I'll be going to tap, and I'll say, no, she'll go good. But she keeps bringing it up.
So she does actually want to go.
I'm thinking she does, but she's saying she does.
So this time,
She doesn't want it.
you have to commit. You have to sort of make some kind of agreement about, okay, if you start, just commit till the end of the year or something, make a commitment.
So just
Don't let them just get away with things.
see it through for longer than that, and then.
Yeah.
I think you just take it back and say, but you said you wanted to do it, and then.
She wants to wear shoes.
Shoes.
They have to make a decision. Yeah, they can make a decision. So after they overcome the first thing, so it could be a skill or a task, and they go, I knew I could, and then they get a new skill or task, and they go, oh, I've done this, now I can do this, and they'll just build, and it'll build their confidence. But if they don't ever achieve, at least achieve some little thing, they won't move on to the next thing. So sometimes they do have to be pushed. Well, they have to push themselves. So I say to the students, when I went to year 7s and 10s, I say, you have to push yourself. They've never heard of it. It's effort, it's discipline. Children have to learn it. You have to push yourself up the hill. I said, you have to say, I think I can, I think I can. You push yourself.
So what
No
if,
one's going to do that for you.
what if your child thinks they can do everything and then is devastated when they fall?
That's okay.
Because my child thinks he can do everything.
But how many things...
Oh, he'd try anything. And he thinks he can do everything, and then if he gets out in cricket, it's the end of his life.
Oh, you just say to him, no, you keep going on, and it's not the end of the
Oh no,
You
he'll
have to
keep
teach
going
him.
on, but he'll just sulk for half an hour.
Yeah, no, that's all
Oh,
right.
that's normal.
That's all right. Just say it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you fail. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be the first at everything. It's actually good to learn.
Let me try that one. We're working on it.
The interesting thing I found
Thanks,
about
Daisy.
a similar sort of situation is that my son likes sports and it's very competitive, and
Yeah.
what we did on purpose was take him out of, it wasn't out of the competitive zone, but I took him to the athletics because actually what goes on there is that you're trying to do, you compete against yourself. It doesn't seem like that when you first start because you keep looking at all the other kids going, oh, look at that. But they keep pushing the idea of personal defence. So what happens there is the child eventually accepts the idea that I'm actually competing against myself and feels better about that after a while, and it's a whole new ballgame because that's really about learning how to do. He didn't know how to do a whole lot of things, and so he had to learn again like what's the best way of doing it, and the better you could get the technique, the better you could actually perform. So
They need to, that's good. I mean, they just need to be pushed to do it, but it's not like, they need to know that you still love them.
Oh,
And
yeah.
You don't
Yeah,
hear if
regardless
they do
of
well
what
or not.
Yeah.
But if they're watching a lot of TV programs where you have to succeed all the time, so it depends what they're feeding their mind on. You have to be careful what they're reading, what they're watching on TV. There's a lot of values in there that aren't our values, and are being pushed by the TV that you have to be the best. So thinking, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm not the best. You know, they're getting ideas, so that's why I say you have to be careful what they're watching on TV. So, yeah, so the boys and girls, social persuasion, they're affected by friends a lot. That's a female thing, is friends, very affected by friends, and eventually partners, boyfriends, that can hold them back from really going with their life. So, and boys rely on this. They're very different. But boys and girls both, they both need the mastery. It's just that girls build on this a lot. So it's important they have good friends, friends that don't pull them down. What friends say to them can knock them down, knock their confidence, and the girls need friends who build them up. So they need to be taught that by the parents, especially when they hit when they're 8 years old onwards and the hormones start coming in. They have to learn that to choose their friends. Friends that will build them up and not pull them down, criticise them, or be nice.
That's kind of for life, isn't it, really?
Yeah, if they learn
Choosing
that
good
now,
friends. Yeah.
then they'll learn not to choose the wrong people to be friends or partners when they grow up. They need to value themselves. It's just there's a lot on the media where girls get pulled down and they think they have to act a certain way in the media, in the movies, and that no one's going to like them unless they do this, dress like this, look like this, be like this, and that needs to not, you know, you have to change. When you talk to them, teach them different things to what's on TV. We have to counter it. So, yes. Mastery, yeah, did that. And, yeah. When a child learns a new, that's why it happens, this thing. When they start learning something, the neurons that are in there, say they start learning, say the piano, the neurons are there and they're developing, and if they keep going and learning, they develop and branch out. So that a brain pathway starts forming in their brain, and they get stronger and stronger. That's why you shouldn't stop them midway. But they need to develop it, not leave everything half. So they're just going to get stronger and stronger as they grow up. And so their brain develops as they get up that hill, and they master another hill, and they master another hill, and their brain's developing all the time. It's pretty exciting. Yeah, so that's that. And so, that's all that stuff that I said. Oops. It's like that facing life too. If they learn that with tasks, they need to learn that with life too. When a problem comes, you say, well, let's just work through it. If they're supported, then they learn. It's not bad to have problems in your life. Sometimes people put themselves down on kids and they judge themselves and say, I shouldn't have problems. No, you can have problems. Just because on TV everything's perfect doesn't mean your life has to be perfect. Life is not perfect anyway. It's just fake, what's on TV. They need to realise that. So everything works out perfect on the TV for them, but not in real life. And there are high rates of youth suicide, especially among boys. So they need to realise that problems are okay, and you just go through it, and you'll come out on the other side, and there'll be another hill like that. So when they look at the problem, they go, this is too hard, I can't go through it. No, you can. And you just go, I think I can, and you help them go through it. It's like supported to go over that hill. It's like another. So when they get through one problem, they'll go, I think I can face more problems. And they grow more and more confident. A lot of kids aren't growing up like that, and they're growing up not able to face problems when they hit teenage years. They need to learn now. So, yeah. Things don't always work out perfect. Wait a minute, Rach. There's something there. Oh, yeah, that's all right. Sorry. That's what I just said. I just said the dirt is there to grow. They don't have to be perfect. Everybody has problems. Kids think they don't, but they do. It's just on TV. We're getting our TV from Hollywood anyway, but everything works out perfect. Well, not really perfect anyway, but you know how they fix up problems on TV? The boy gets the girl, they come top of the class. It's just not really real.
It's all unlikely.
Yeah, it's just fake. It's fantasy. Yeah, so that's that. Yeah. So, and notes that social stress inhibits. So when a person's really stressed, their neurons don't grow. That's good. When they're stressed socially. Well, social support, compassion and kindness support positive neural growth. So it's like the caring environment. That can be in the home, school or other places of learning. If it's caring, they grow better. Their brains actually grow better. I think it's amazing. And I've just got your child's social support. So social support, they learn that first from their mum and dad there for them. Or whoever brings them up. And Yeah, without you they're lost because you're their social support. Then as they leave home, they make social support with their friends. And so with you there, the brain's just going to develop much better. So, did we just do that one?
Yeah, you kind of already.
Oh, no, go through that. Yeah. Yeah. Did you just flick again? Stop it. Vicarious learning off what someone else does. Children learn off the other children in class, or if they've got a friend who says she's really good at skipping rope, and they go, oh, she did it, I can do it. And so they learn off each other, and they can encourage each other. So if they're really good friends, they'll actually spur each other on, and it's good. And if they're watching it in class, they've got a friend who can do a certain thing, like write a really good story, and they'll learn from watching their friend, oh, she did it, so I can do it. So that's good. Observing the actions of others, classmates, peers, and adults. And then, but the only problem is, a lot of this is happening on TV. So they might learn bad things. They go, oh, that person did that, like they bullied someone, they took revenge on someone, they hated someone, they were catty to someone. I could do it too. So they learn off the TV. What are you going to say?
No, sorry.
Yeah, so they, good learning, bad learning, it's a catch. But they learn off who's around them, and they also learn off what's on TV. So social learning theory is that children take on board what they see someone else who's the same age, maybe the same sex, and someone they think successful, and they go, that worked for them, I'm going to do that. And also, like I was telling Rob once, I had a friend and her little boy was really being nasty and mean and cranky, and I said, what's wrong with your son? He's really in a bad mood today. And he goes, no. She said, oh, he's been watching a lot of DVCs about this little kid who's really smart and naughty and mean, and he was acting like that. Honestly, he was acting like that. I said, could you give him some ones where he's a nice kid?
It's when they're constantly watching it, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
but
not
her
when you
kids were watching.
occasionally watch something, but when you're constantly watching something.
Yeah, some of her kids were watching a lot of DVDs and computer, because both parents were into IT, so the kids were watching it till late at night, from the age of 3. The behaviour was just
Crazy.
I couldn't believe it. But social learning theory here, they watch, children are very receptive, they're not just like dogs, you know how they do classic conditioning, if you give the dog something or give them some pain, he won't do anything. It's not just like that with kids. If they get older, it changes, especially teenagers later, they watch and see who's successful. And if they see something's working in a TV show, that if a kid is mean to their parents or mean to somebody else, that it worked, they got what they wanted, they go, I'll do that. So they'll take it on board. So that's why you've got to watch the TV programs you're giving them, so they're going to learn. The Bobo experiment was, Ben Jura's quite a famous researcher, he's done all this social research, but he got these little kids to watch a clown being beaten up. And he got these other kids not see the clown being beaten up. Then he stuck them all in, the ones who, got some to watch an actual clown being beaten up, others to watch a cartoon of it, and others didn't see any. Anyway, he put them in a room with, and told them to go for it with the clown. And the most violent ones were the ones who saw it in the cartoon and saw Bobo getting beaten up. They were the most violent ones. He's really into kids learn violence from what's... Not all children are violent, of course, but it depends on what they do is store it for future reference.
Like Bugs Bunny and Coyote.
Yeah, too much. There's a lot of violence. It's desensitising them. So they take more and more on board. Of course, you know the video games are making them more and more violent.
So if they've had experience with the video games when they're, I don't know, 6, 7, is that damage already done, or like how do you undo?
Could you start like changing it?
It's not my child.
No, but they should start giving them other information.
And you've got to remember too, like older siblings, that's so influential, and sometimes you know it's different.
Yeah.
When
You
you
have to
see the
set
pecking
standards.
order of the children, and then you've got
Probably limit the time maybe that
You have to
they're
set
using
standards in your family and say only half an hour, and you can only watch this.
So it's sort of to do with time, like how much time they're actually spending watching and playing these things.
Yeah.
And if you limit the time, then it's not constantly...
But does the research show that you can actually undo that
Yeah.
damage?
Plasticity of the brain. You can.
Yeah.
You can, but you need to teach them. They have to be taught. And also limit what they're watching, that kind of thing that they're watching. Yeah, so they found that. He keeps bringing them. I think he goes to the White House every year with new stuff about the violence that's in the media over there, because we're getting it all too. And also, you know, the brain's gets a little kind of a serotonin hit every time they see. So they have to make it more and more violent for the kids to get more excitement out of it. That's really bad, because they're breeding the stain. Also, it's making children fearful. Not taking on that stuff. learn good and bad, you could teach your children good values by showing them other models, social models like famous people in history, fairy tales. I mean, what a Goldilocks learn really.
She broke into the house, so I don't know.
It's not really a good one. Scott the Explorer, he kept going, well, he gave up just before he got there. I think I was talking to some teenagers about persevering, he gave up just before he got there. Well, it was a bit hard, wasn't it? They ate their dogs and their horses, and it was bad preparation.
It's rather tragic.
But it is a lot harder. Like if you look at something like Foxtel or not Foxtel, just regularly look at the kids' programs. If you look at the little ones, there's a lot harder. You look at the older ones, the whole, I think it's even BBC, maybe not, maybe it's another one, but they're all much darker.
Yeah,
The
they're
humor's
getting darker and
really,
darker.
really dark, and it's loud and nasty and it's talking. So I don't know. I suppose.
Well, they're getting desensitised, so you limit. No,
It's very
but
hard to find something that isn't, you have to go out and
Sit
get
through
something.
it all. Yeah.
when the kids were little, I didn't want to have TV when I had first had children, then I got the TV, we got a TV later, we just watched DVDs. I don't let them watch TV, but I think you did sneak some in, later on.
That was back in the video days.
Yeah.
But you never let us watch TV in the morning, and we only watched TV
Yeah, I would let them watch
in
TV
the
before
afternoon.
they went to
And even
school.
then, it was only for like an hour, and then we're like, go
Because
for
I
it.
didn't want them affected, but I didn't do anything. I just knew I didn't want them brainwashed. So I would sit down and spend time with them before they went to school and sort of calm them. And I'd play music about things, just things that made them, like if you play songs and music, they're kind of positive, make kids feel good. I just play that a lot all the time, in the mornings.
But we would just get ready for school. We just,
Yeah, I'd just be
get on with
playing.
doing our stuff, and then
Yeah, I had this routine of just that. And then after school, I would sit down and spend time for a little bit, and then I'd leave them to play. I'd just have that little moment with them and then just let them go. Yeah, so like my parents used to tell me these stories. Do you remember these? Flip the little fire engine? Oh, Sparky and the talking train. Only Sparky could hear the train.
that's the 70s, isn't it?
I'm not saying.
No.
I'll flick the little fire engine. He thought he had no purpose. But he did help with the fire. Like there's these little stories and you can build a message in there. And say, like he flicked the little fire engine, he thought he was no good. That he missed out and his parents went out to put a fire out. And then one day there was a fire and he actually put it out and they made him this hero. You know, you can be like that too. And like the little red engine had no name. I even told teenagers this and they really loved it for some reason. It really built them up. Just he had no name and all the other trains did have a name and then did you know this? And then one day this king, he pulled the king's carriage and the king said, this train is too good to not have a name, so he called him Royal Red. And he got a name after that. And I said, that's because, he was special, he had a plan for his life and this was it. And they kind of, wow. But they were like year 12s. But they liked it, just that there's a thought that there was something good for their life and they were, it didn't matter that they didn't have a name, but everybody has a name. Everyone's got something for their life. So they need to know that stuff. And when they're going through things, I often told kids, hey, you're a hero. If you go through this hard thing, whatever's happening in your life, say there's bad things happening in your family, you go, you're a hero if you help yourself get through, you're a hero. So I'd say that to them, you're heroes, all of you, if you help yourself. And if you help someone else, you'll be a hero to them if you reach out to other people. And also a champion, champions fall. Because a champion, they train, and they fall all the time until they get where they want to get. So kids need to learn that. You don't just get there by, never having anything go wrong. Things go wrong all the time. That's the way life is. They need to learn that. Because otherwise they're setting themselves up for this I'm a failure when they get to teenage years. And just go, I'm just useless, I'm a failure. Especially boys that think, I haven't achieved all these things. I haven't got the girlfriend, the car, the house, I haven't got all these things, I'm a failure. And suicide is quite common. So, next one.
I was just going to say about like the reading,
Reading.
It's important for like kids to read.
Like I made sure my kids read the classics, like Little Woman, Alice in Wonderland.
But just reading a story at night, it's
Treasure
nice.
Island.
It's just a nice relaxing time.
Yeah, with your child.
So I got this friend and she reads to her daughter all the classics and everything, and her kids are like 6 and 8.
Yeah.
And they like that, just
Yeah.
reading.
But if they can learn models, role models from stories or different programs, different things. Oh yeah. So there's just fear.
No.
Fear. See, the brain can't tell the difference between reality and fantasy. So they're watching too much dark stuff. It's getting into them. And they'll start to become scared. And I think there was the first recorded case of psychosis was in Melbourne. A little girl watched the scary movie.
Scream.
The Scream.
Scream.
Not scary movie, that's a stupid one. Scream. One day, and she was a 6-year-old. She shouldn't have watched it. There's things they shouldn't be watching when they're still developing, like 5, 6-year-olds should not be watching some of those horror movies. Paranormal, no way. They shouldn't be watching that stuff. Anyway, she started thinking her mother was going to kill her. So she was berserk in the car. So they put her in hospital and they go, this is the first time we've had a case of recorded psychosis from movies. It was a 6-year-old and we spent weeks and weeks in hospital. You know, it breeds fear to her because the mind can't tell the difference. And I told this to some students in year 7 and I said, tell me what you're afraid of, tell me your fears and desires. I want you to write them in a thing. I want you to write a big square and on the outside you put everything that people see of you. And I want you to put on the inside everything people don't see about you. And you don't have to share it, but it's fears, desires. And one of them said he was afraid of garden gnomes was the teacher. And I said, why? And he goes, yeah, I'm really scared of garden gnomes. I said, why? And he said he read a book about when the gnomes killed everybody. It's like in his 20s. So your mind, he knows. Of course it's irrational. I said, you know that being afraid of spiders and sharks and storms, that's normal, that's natural, it's adaptive evolutionary, they say. It's for you're meant to be afraid of those things to protect yourself. But being afraid of a garden gnome is really, it's not.
It's not.
I said the garden gnome's only interested in gardening, he's very short.
It's tacky.
He can't hurt you, and plus, he's not real. He's not alive. He's made of stone. He's not alive. And the amount of kids, and then some teenagers told me they're afraid of zombies. There aren't any. They don't exist. It's only in the movies. So fears like the Jaws movies, they make you afraid, you know, they can stay with you for the rest of your life. So we have to be careful what they're feeding on.
What about the dark?
Dark.
Being afraid of the dark.
I think that's quite normal, isn't it?
Yeah, but how do you build resilience against the dark? It's not something
In a way, maybe it's good to be afraid of the dark sometimes, because sometimes our fears are to protect us, so they learn that you shouldn't be out in the dark, because there are things to be afraid of sometimes.
I think we just used to sleep in the dark, and didn't we? There was a light on the hall.
Yeah, well you can give them a light. You mean, have they been watching a lot of, have they been watching any movies where there's a lot of scary movies?
No, not really.
Because sometimes that can feed that.
We were saying before, I think
Yeah,
it's
it might be.
probably...
Yeah, might be the age, because my daughter's kind of, she sort of says, oh, I'm afraid of spooks, so we leave.
Yeah,
it's,
she's
it's just in the last, she's just turned 7.
Yeah, that's the age.
Yeah,
Of
it's
last
just
year.
in the last week or two, and so when she goes to bed,
Oh, you can
we'll
just
read it.
reassure them and
Yeah, it's
leave
quite
them
fun,
to
but
light.
it's just started happening now. Yeah, so it must be the age.
Yeah, so it would be really good not to let them watch.
Oh, no, don't.
But sometimes they go to their friend's place.
Those things don't exist, just say they don't exist, and there's nothing that's going to happen to you like that.
Oh, no, that's what we
Reassure her and things.
Yeah,
right,
of course. Yeah. I'm only down the hall.
Yeah, too much horror and violence that just plays on their mind.
Yeah, but it's interesting that it's just seems to be.
No, that is the age. It's the age of fears. 5 and 6. That's the age. Yeah,
Oh, wow, that's, yeah, I don't like them either.
the guy that escaped scared of garden gnomes was also afraid of clowns.
Yeah, but whereas we set clowns up as this iconic childhood image. But
Maybe it's a scary page.
children are afraid of clowns.
Oh, they are.
They're often used as a villain.
Yeah,
makes as
Ronald
well.
McDonald,
I've never liked
we
clowns.
had
Yeah,
a
they're
lot of
That's
nice.
scary looking at them.
It's not nice.
It's bigger than lettuce.
Yeah, that's not right.
Yeah, well, they have been used as villains, but I know kids have always been afraid.
Yeah, that's been wrong for me.
And even Santa Claus are afraid.
Yeah, Santa, yeah.
So little kids.
That's scary.
Wow. Wow.
That's that. Okay, just keep on bullying that's happening a lot on Facebook, Twitter and emails, mobile phones. There's a lot of kids, there's been a lot of suicide and stuff with that. There's been a girl in Canada recently, hasn't there? Oh, someone
Yes.
made friends with her, he was a prisoner. And she's killed herself now. He sent pictures of her all around to her friends. So she left the school and went to another place, but it didn't stop. And that's the trouble with this, is you can't get away from it. Whereas I went to see the Bully movie, it's an American sexual documentary, and I met a guy there who he was bullied right from year 7 to year 12, and I said, I'm glad, I said, some of those kids they suicided from all the bullying at school. And he said, well, I did think about it, but he said he didn't because he loved his parents, he didn't want to hurt them, and he really just broke down crying. He's in his 30s, but he said, then he said, I said, why didn't you tell your parents? Why did you just go through this? And he said he didn't want to look weak. And just be careful, your boys might be going through stuff. And there was a boy in this movie, and he was trying to tell his father, hey, the kids are mean. He goes, oh, you're letting the kids do this to you. He was really hard on his son. You're letting them treat you like this. And his son's going, but they just do it to me. And then the son didn't tell him, but the camera team was filming it so much on the bus that it was getting so bad that the camera team said, you've got to get him off that bus. And and then the parents realised. But they had other parents whose kids had actually killed themselves because of the bullying, and it's just, this is worse. Because they can't get away, so I'd say get them off, change the emails or the mobile phone numbers, don't let them be on Facebook if they're young. It's no good. Okay, I think nearly finished.
So it's good for you.
No, it's alright, significant others, girls. Some of you got girls, I guess?
Yes.
I did a lot on girls, I don't know why, there's a lot of research that I found on girls. They're depressed by expectations of the significant others as their parents. And boyfriend, girlfriends, close friends. Girls are really affected by these people. And they also listen to messages, social messages, that are coming from the media. So you've got all your magazines, and you have to counter it, you have to change it, you have to teach them to value themselves. Because a lot of stuff in magazines sort of makes them feel inadequate, that they're not good enough. It's feeding them different messages.
But it's also because they're spending too much time on those things
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Because I work
There
in
should be
school,
limits how
and
much time they spend on computers.
the kids are
and
constantly on their mobile phones, and they don't really even need to have the phone with them. They don't even need. Who are they gonna call?
Oh, this is Rachel. She's my daughter. She's a school teacher too, high school. So
But how do you limit that? I mean, if a child owns a phone, like in a high school situation,
Yeah.
I mean, what do you do?
Don't they hand them in?
All phones in this basket?
No, we can't. It's
It's in Columbus. They do.
It's their property and you're not allowed to do it.
no, we just tell them to put it away. It's about it.
Yeah, it's a real.
Because they come into class and some of them will just sit there and I'll put the phone on the desk and I'm like, you're not income for a business. You're not making they're ready to start business,
So they're probably texting, right?
Yeah, they do, and they text when you're not looking and things like that, and they're constantly, and then there's a lot of bullying going on with the messages, social messages and all that. There's a lot of
Do you actually ever take the phones and say, while you're in my class, they're going to go there, and when you finish the
No,
class,
They flick it
not
off,
allowed.
right?
They get all funny about it.
Sorry.
They're really sensitive if you touch their phone.
Do you send your classroom boundaries if they supportive to what you request? Or?
Yeah, they generally will put them away if you ask.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So parents need to monitor the social message they're reading, what they're receiving through here. Monitor what they're listening to. You might have to talk to them about it. I don't know. There should be some girls' support groups or something. But the problem is that all these places are teaching girls to turn on each other and be catty and pull each other down and just be nasty to each other. And they should actually be helping each other, because it's hard enough for girls in the world today the way that boys might treat them. So they should be sticking together. They need to know they're valued through you, letting them know they're valued by you. Then these people, this other stuff won't affect them so much. They need to know that you're valued by us. We love you as you are. Doesn't matter about all that stuff. So
they can also learn just to turn their phone off too.
yeah. But that's limiting. Yeah, they have to limit. Will affect your self-confidence. And I've also said they have to perceive themselves to be valued by their parents, and that's just with time. Having time with them, if you can have time one-on-one, and then like sometimes you have to plan it and schedule it, prioritise time with your kids. I think we want to seal that. Yep. Oh, North America. Oh, anorexia. Anorexia is a Western disease, and it's middle class. and so they're affecting boys. In the Japanese culture, they don't have as much anorexia, but if they come here and they become westernised, they start developing anorexia. And they're really little things, little girls. Emphasis in Japan, for instance, is beauty, skin. So different cultures have different things that make kids feel like.
Yeah, because you don't have that sort of thing in Africa, or it's not in.
I was talking to a mother recently, and her daughter, she said, I need someone to talk to my daughter, and then she said she doesn't eat for a long time, and I said, oh, you mean she's got actually anorexia, and she goes, oh, well, they think she has, she's got anxiety, but she said, you know, we have to leave her alone for a lot of hours, and I thought, there's probably that. She just needs her parents with her. She's actually older, like 18, 19. She needs, I think she's been left alone too much all her life, and now it's just this anorexia thing. Usually it's perfectionist achiever families. And just what you say, I'll finish up, just what you say affects people, like the words that you say can actually give confidence to your child. It can encourage it or it can deflate it, that's just the research. It can deflate self-efficacy. So say when they do something not so great, they don't do very well, you go, that's okay, you can develop this, you'll get better. Don't just sort of say, I'm going to do lots of lose. Those sort of things come from their friends. You notice in all the movies they say things like that? They're always insulting each other. A lot of teenage movies are like that anyway. They're calling each other names and put each other down. Disparaging comments means to lower someone in rank, make them less. So that's why they need friends that build them up, because this will actually affect them. Mind if they're getting like good comments from you, probably their friends can't get them the same, but friends can still pull them down. They're affected by friends. Yeah. Have you noticed this at all? Yep. I don't know, there was another quote anyway, it said that young, especially young students, especially wait eagerly to hear what you think of them. And they're just waiting to hear something good that can either build them up or knock them down. It affects them for the rest of their life. And it's like I said, a kid could be really good at maths, but he can think he's no good. And it's up here for some reason, and yet he's really good. He might have the ability to swim or really good at maths. And he goes, I can't do it, I can't do it. It's all to do with that self-efficacy, doesn't believe in himself. But say he did step out and do it, he'll believe in himself. Say he never stepped out, he won't believe in himself. So he needs to be pushed to step out, encouraged. Yeah. Words. And yeah, here it is. Go back, Brandon. Noting young students equally awake. Evaluated. That's evaluating them. They're really relying on what people say to them, even their friends. And the next. So teachers and parents can do that. Like, yeah. Healthy evaluations. Okay, you didn't do it so great. It doesn't matter. We can make it work. Don't say, oh, you're no good. You'll never be any good at it. I think someone said that to one of my other daughters about a flute. Yeah. She's no good, she'll never be good. And I took her to a different teacher, and anyone can learn the flute. Yeah, I'll teach her. See, it's possible for us to learn anything, actually. That's what the new research is. We can learn anything. We might not be like top students in it, but we can all learn anything, because in our brain is the potential for, it's plastic, it will grow and change. So children don't need to give up when they're so young. They give up too soon, because they're going to develop and develop and develop, get stronger. It's a developing thing. Okay.
Is it going to stop growing?
No. But what happens is people think
You're right.
people think that they can't learn anymore. Now they've found even older people, 60s, 70s.
It's runs at old age.
Yeah, if they keep learning new things, their brain will keep developing more neurons. It'll help them like stay young.
Isn't it good if you keep learning new things when you're older as well?
Yeah.
More pathways and it's good for you.
Yeah, more pathways. Keep going. So I think we're finishing on now. Valuations, negative, I think I said that.
Yeah.
Just want to click through. Go. Yes, go. Oh, that. I tend to say this to some kids, where I was talking to kids, they came from quite bad homes. They had bad homes in their lives, and then when I talked to them, I said, I want you to say this to yourself, I'm a good person, I'm a great person, I'm loved, everything's going to be alright. And when I said to them, I'm a good person, When they loved that, they absolutely loved saying that, because when things happen that are bad in the family or around them, children tend to blame themselves. Or they get told they're no good all their lives. Or they say that happened because of me, it's my fault. So whenever they get depressed, they think like that. And so I said to them, just say this to yourself when you feel a bad feeling. That's when they get that depression thing. I'm a good person. And I said, bad things happen to good people. You're not a bad person because something bad happened to you. So it really set them free. So I said, bad things happen to good people. It's not your fault. And I said, and good things happen to bad people. Bad things happen to good people. And good things happen to good people. So they go, oh, okay. So that kind of released them from that.
That's building that initial self-belief.
Yeah.
That guilt that something bad happened, it's my fault. It's not true. It's just something that humans seem to do. They tell themselves. That self-blame is one of the main causes of most psychological disorders, and guilt. And fear, they cause most of the disorders that everybody. Yeah.
Things which can be undone.
Yeah,
oh yeah.
If
And
there's
you know
that
what?
that they mainly at whatever stage of their life.
Yeah, this is the most exciting thing that I found too. If the child comes from a bad home, their brain's still plastic enough that if they're given care and nurturing later, it will develop again, and it will take them out of that, and will take away that stress, and they'll develop almost like the brain that a child who came from.
I guess with maturity and experiences it can be easier.
Yeah, unfortunately,
No.
there's a catch that you could have had a good home, but say you go along and suddenly you're in a war and you get traumatised, your brain can go back to that of a child who wasn't given a good home because you're traumatised. On the other hand, if a child had good social support and a good family, way back, when they get big life problems later, like we found the soldiers who came from homes where they felt safe and secure and nurtured, they were the ones that were stronger in the war. They didn't develop post-traumatic stress disorder as quickly. They were able to go through major life stress, like that resilience thing again, because they'd had this background of a family that was nurtured them. So actually what happens when your children affects you way into the future. They never really, So there's that support there too. But the good news here is that if they came from a bad place, they can change. Because the brain's plastic, but it becomes more plastic, more movable, not plastic, but malleable, grow, if there's a caring environment. And so that's why some people, when they've come from a really bad childhood and they meet a good partner and the partner's nurturing them, then they'll change. And they'll tend to come and heal. So it's good. It's good to know, it's good news. And that's...
You want to finish there?
Yeah. I'll just finish one more thing. I'll use that during climate. I'll just talk about adolescents later, but I think for children too, monitor, manage, control their positive and negative emotions, heighten their compassion for others, and that's something children need to learn now. They're not getting it the same. They seem to have compassion for each other. I think the media is making people live hard. And they're not developing empathy to feel for somebody else. Share with comfort and support others is reflective, mature, and psychologically adaptive. That means someone who's going to be able to cope with life later. That is a healthy person when they do that. And also when they do those things, they'll get it back. And they'll get that social support, because children aren't going to make it through if they think they're going to do it all on their own. They need to learn that they need social support and they need to develop friends and right through their whole life. And there's one last carry on. Oh, right. So if children work together and they make friends and they build up each other with their positive statements, they actually build up each other's self-efficacy, confidence. So if they've got the right friends, they actually help each other's brains. So they develop each other's brains by being with the right friends who will cause them to... It's amazing. So they actually then develop resilience together. I thought that was really exciting. I'll leave it there. Read that. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I suppose I struggle with the girls like developing resilience and things, and also in things that you can't control so much. I suppose as a parent, the first step is if they're not happy with something, you go and fix it for them, which is what often happens. But you're talking about kinship, I suppose it's about it's about the balance. You don't want their self-esteem affected by it. Like I struggle sometimes with should I let them get through this themselves to show them that they can do it, to develop.
You mean a task? A task?
Or a task, or a particular person, like a friend, that something's going on with a friend or something. You know,
Yeah,
teaches it sort of, whatever they're doing outside of school as well, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Someone that sort of is sort
It's
of,
bothering
this
them
isn't
or
something that
whatever.
I don't want them to sort of learn about themselves. At what point do you say, well, you can get through this and we'll work it out, and at what point do you
Depends what the
say?
thing is, you might have to step in, depends how young they are too.
Yes. I suppose that's what I struggle with.
Yeah, you have to step
sometimes,
in, and if they have bad associations, you have to break them off. Say, no, you can't be with that person.
because I sort of think that
Monitoring.
a lot of reasons why teenagers now don't cope is because we fix it too often.
Yeah.
So it's sort of that, I sort of struggle with at what point do I,
They have to learn that there's consequences of actions that they make too. So you let them learn those, don't try and protect them from their mistakes. That they have to learn, they have to fix it up. Things that they do wrong.
yes, that's what I mean.
Well, even saying sorry to someone if they've said something by accident, even if they didn't really mean it, if they say something, even just saying sorry,
Yes.
just getting them to do that is something important too.
Maybe talking about, okay, you're in that situation, what could you have done?
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? And then going through options and, well, providing other avenues of, other solutions or other ideas for them to implement.
Yeah, you mean if they've done something already or they're about to do something? Or,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think sometimes it's more other people is what I struggle with sometimes. Yes.
Negative dynamics and
Yeah,
things.
like at what point do you say, well, you can't be, not that you say that to them, that they can't be girlfriends, you're going to have to come and do it for them. But, you're sort of trying to manipulate that a little bit. Yeah, like you said, things that you can't control, like.
Well, you will have to step in with the friendships.
Yes.
You will have to step in with them. Because they will pull them down in the future. Yes, you will have to step in with them.
Because I had a bad friend when I was little. It was when I was between the ages of 6 to 8, and I had these two friends, and it was bad being in a trio because we got into this catty stage where we're all talking about each other all the time. And in the end, I come home crying from school, and Mum said to me, don't hang around with those girls anymore, go and hang around. If they start seeing you, go and hang around with other kids at school, which actually taught me to make more friends. So I did that because I was upset every day.
Because otherwise they're going to be trying to please those certain friends.
Sometimes easier said than done.
True.
But keep
Yeah.
reassuring your child that
Yeah.
keep trying, do your best, do what's, I say, what's expected of you, what your parents would expect you to do, and follow your lead and follow your path, and if you need help, I'm here, if you need help, your family.
Yeah, I'll support you.
Because it's easier said than done
To actually
when
break
they
the
actually
circle.
like the person, and
Yeah.
there's happy times, there's sad times.
It happens a lot with girls too. There's a lot of bullying.
But they have to learn that.
friendships.
You don't have to be in with that
Yeah.
friend.
That's
You don't
right.
have to be like her.
Yeah.
And if she's nasty to you, just have a break. For a while at least. Or try some other friends. Just to make suggestions, But she doesn't have to.
Because when you're like that young, you don't really realise what this girl is doing. You don't understand what's going on, and I didn't even think, I didn't know she was being nasty until you said that she's not a very nice person, really.
Because children are so forgiving.
Yes.
So forgiving, and she'll be my friend by lunchtime, so.
Yeah.
It goes under the radar.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not feeling so good, but I'm not exactly sure
No,
why.
you can't really word it when you're little. You don't really know what's going on. You just sort of,
They don't realise they're being devalued. And
No.
they don't know. Yeah, they have nice natures, children. Like some girls have nice natures and then they don't realise the other ones are walking over and playing each other off. Yeah, they need support from you, but you can also point things out that they don't have to be with that person. Even if they
if
like
you make observations about the other
And also the person you're hanging around with, do you want to be like that person? Do you want to end up like her, how she treats people? Do you want to treat her like that?
Something I often say to my daughter Emily is, I say, well, fine, when she's doing that to you, how do you think she's feeling about herself? So I'm really trying to teach both of the kids, well, people don't act randomly. They act the way they act
There's
for a
reasons,
reason. So let's look at the bigger picture and see what else could be going on for them. Are they doing a bit of power play? Are they testing it out a little bit? Are they looking for a response from you? That sort of idea.
I think a child with high self-efficacy, too high confidence, they won't be as affected by other children when they are being picked on or treated badly.
Find it easy to move on.
Yeah, maybe you could just point them in another direction. Just point
Maybe
them
I was
in
naturally
the
that way.
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah. I had to, one of my other daughters was upset because the kids, they seemed to have called her an alien or something, just coming home crying. So I went and told the kids off at the school, which probably shouldn't. But I was glad that I told them off anyway. I didn't do anything harsh, I just, yeah, I just said, did you call my daughter that? And I go, don't you ever call her that.
And they never did ever.
Can I just ask, with the confidence in building with them, other than giving them the opportunities to build them forward, is there, are there other things you can do to help with that confidence?
Just those things I've mentioned. Do you mean with tasks or life?
Like in general, and like with friends too, like trying to,
I think
just the confidence to go and meet new people and, make those friends and.
yeah. If they're spending that time with them and talking to them and building them up, that will.
Or even putting them into like,
Kids groups are quite
just
good.
putting them into groups like doing dance. If it's girls, like putting them into dancing and stuff, so they meet other girls. Things like that.
I used to run like children's performing groups and other groups, dance schools and things, and the kids that came to the performing group, I didn't realise that they were going through really hard times, like their parents were divorcing, some father had suicided, one parent was in prison. I didn't know all that, but because we had this performing group and they were just doing this creative stuff, it kept them. They want to cope with that adversity. Like I want to do another, my part too is taking children through adversity when they go through loss and stuff. There's a whole lot of stuff that we need to do. But yeah, putting them in a group, a creative kind of group thing can help.
They end up quite successful, all those kids. They'll win on.
Actually finding, if you find their strengths and build on it, like say if he's good at tennis or good at drawing, and they build on it.
But meeting friends, you sort of. I'm just trying to think.
What was that? But them just knowing that you're there is actually quite a confidence builder. Just knowing they've got a mother or a father, especially the mother that's behind them, and that she's there for them. That really is powerful. I think you don't realise how powerful that is.
It's also good for them to do stuff with their father though. That builds a whole other sort of relationship too. Especially for girls, it's good for girls to know their fathers.
Yeah. I mean, that's all good. But say if there isn't a father.
Yeah.
It's not always possible. But there's other friends, other people they're involved with. Like youth groups are very good for them, children's groups. Yeah. Finding their strength. Is there anything else I can leave here if you like?
What do you like, some biscuits? I want some biscuits. Took a biscuit.
If you're interested in coming to another next part 2, should you leave your
Sure.
could Debbie take the